I read something today and I want to share it with you. It caught my attention and I love it. It's the first time I've ever heard it. It's called "Preventing the illness is better than curing it." And when I read that, I was like, wow, that is so awesome. Preventing the illness is better than curing it. And how I can relate to that is when I was in my 20s, I was living life. I was adventurous. I was fun. And I'm still fun right now. But there was less planning. So I was just living life. I was going through the motions. And looking back, I realized when I was in my 20s, early 20s, that some of the decisions that I made backfired. Long story short, there was no planning. It was kind of like, yes, let's go ahead and do that and not think about the consequences. And going back to preventing the illness is better than curing it. What does that mean to me now at my age? That means planning. Planning is a beautiful thing because if it goes as planned, you'll reap the benefits, whether it's travel, whether it is your career, your education, your job, your family. Planning is a good thing. I've been a planner. Once I was embarrassed at the age of 24, recently married, joined the Air Force, and I realized I was behind the power curve. So that's when I made those changes, planning. That doesn't mean that I'm less fun now at my age. It just means that I know what I want and what I don't want. And there are things in life that are going to happen to us that we have no control over. Remember that. But there are many things in our lives that we do have control over, and that is where the prevention comes. I'm very methodical when it comes to many things. For example, I don't like pain, whether it's emotional or physical. So if I'm out there skiing, for example, I'm going to be cautious, but I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to know my limits. I'm not going to be reckless because I'm not going to turn something good, let's say skiing or snowboarding, and then turn that into something bad. You can relate to this in many ways. You can apply this in many ways, whether it's driving. For example, we are right now in December, and I heard on the radio that there are a lot of increased patrols that are going to be looking for drunk drivers or people who are driving under the influence of, let's say, alcohol. So I like to have a glass of wine or a beer, and I'll tell my wife, you know what, I'm driving, or she'll tell me she's driving for the night, so the other person can have a good time and we don't have to worry about that, and we don't have to turn something good into something bad. So preventing the illness is better than curing it. So the things that we do have control in our lives is have a plan, be proactive, make those adjustments, and execute whatever it is that you want to do. It is something that when I read, in fact, this comes from the book that I've never read. It's called The Art of War, I believe it's called. I'm going to have to look that up. I saw it in a comment on YouTube, and when I read that, I was like, it caught my attention. I had to write it down, and I'm sure it's that book that I've never read. I'm going to track it down, and I'm going to read it because I've heard a lot about that book. Again, a lot of the things we have control over in our lives, even though we may think we don't. It's important to know what we have control over and what we don't have control over. For example, I have plans for the rest of my life. I have plans for this week, but I don't know what can happen this afternoon or next week or next year. And some things I do have control, a lot of things, and there are things that I don't have control. So know what you're capable of doing and what you're not capable of doing. Don't let doubt, which is something that we do have control over, prevent us from doing whatever it is that we want to do or prevent us from living life. Looking back, when I was, let's say, 28, by then I'd been married 4 years, been in the Air Force 4 years, and I'd made some changes. Fast forward now to I'm 48. I think I made the right choices. In fact, I know I made the right choices when I was 24 through now, because I am living a really good life, and there's a lot of balance, there's a lot of travel, there's a lot of laughs, there's a lot of family time, friend time, things like that. Even in my career, there are things that I get to enjoy throughout my life, and it always hasn't been like that. And that doesn't mean that I don't get days that I'm bored or at work, or I feel like I'm not being challenged here professionally. I go through all of that as well. But it's something that this can apply to you. And how is it going to apply to you? I'll read it one more time. Preventing the illness is better than curing it.